watching Numbskull News, and today we're talking about the ACC. Of course, we're talking about the ACC. We have to talk about it. After all that settlement crap, and everybody online losing their minds, national journalists losing their minds, going full Super League on us. Well, that's not what this video is about. This video is about what is my speculation after thinking about it for a while and really trying to bust it down. What is going to happen to this conference? How is it going to happen? What's the timeline? What's the scenario? So I'm going to work through that. So let's go. So right off the jump, if anyone's been watching this channel for any length of time, you know I feel it's Florida State and Clemson that go to the SEC. As a matter of fact, my speculation says, or what I think could happen, is ESPN does not want to lose these two to Fox. They'll work out a deal. They'll get them into the SEC before 2030. Let's say 2028. A couple years early. They'll help them pay the exit fee and get them into the SEC. That's what I think ends up happening with them two. And I know everyone says the SEC and the Big Ten, they'll eat first. Then the Big 12 will just kind of pick over the rotten corpse. That's not what's going to happen. Florida State and Clemson, they will announce they're leaving by 2027. And they'll leave early in 2028. The next year, at least by the next year, 2029, Louisville will announce they're leaving in 2030. They'll pay the $75 and they're gone. They'll come to the Big 12. This is, of course, based off the Big 12 making a lot more money on their next media rights deal. And the only reason I say that is because these private capital firms have given the Big 12 the evaluation that says their media rights should double. So I'm going off and I'm going to go with, all right, these speculators in private capital who do this shit for a living. They're the experts. So I'm going with the experts here. And that will be enough money to behoove Louisville to pay that fee and get out of there. I don't think they'll get any help. However, with the Big 12 having a deal, having a private capital partner, and these partners, what they like to do is increase the value of what they invest in. That's how they make their ROI, their return on investment. They, and the biggest, from what I've looked up, from what I've researched on private equity and private capital partners, the biggest way they like to increase the value is with expansions and mergers. I'm not talking about merger today. We're just talking about expansion. Big 12 and Louisville will come to terms. They'll come into the Big 12 2030. So it's not UNC that's the linchpin here after Florida State, after Clemson. Louisville will jump in front of everybody else. So I don't know what a linchpin is supposed to be. If you got three teams that leave before the quote-unquote linchpin, see what I mean? Now that those moves have happened, the Big Ten, what do? We all know Notre Dame, that's their most coveted property they want to add to the Big Ten. It's Notre Dame. Notre Dame and one more. They would love to get Notre Dame, one more. They don't care if it's Stanford, Miami, UNC, Georgia Tech. They don't care who it is. As long as 19 is Notre Dame, and they would love to have that and shut it down at 20, shut it down forever. Big Ten's done. Peace out. That's the goal. However, Notre Dame makes an ass ton of money. They've been partners with NBC since what, the 50s, 60s? That's not going away. They make enough money, a little side money out of the ACC. They make their own cut of the CFP payouts, people. They got their own cut. SEC teams make more, Big Ten teams make more. Then it's Notre Dame, then it's the ACC, then it's the Big 12. So they're just fine. They're just fine. They got their own advertisers, their own sponsors. They're fine. Which means they are going to stay independent. Not an option for the Big Ten. So what does the Big Ten do? Do they realize this will never happen? Now, if it could go either, it's 50-50, if you ask me. And no, they don't have to add 2 teams. They can go to 19 and just stay at 19. Oh, but the scheduling, they'll figure out the damn scheduling. But here's the 3 options to add one more. Because I don't believe the Big Ten have any desire to go to 24 teams or 22 teams. 20 with Notre Dame. But at that time, there may be some options. They may be interested in one of these 3 teams. I think these are the 3 that they would choose from the ACC. I don't believe Virginia. I don't believe any of that. I don't believe any other team outside of these 3. They would love Florida State more than any of them. But if I'm right, and I think I am, ESPN is not going to be willing to lose Florida State. They will keep them in the SEC. Now, let's look at what these 3 teams here have to offer. Out of all of them, a lot of talk about UNC, the market getting into the state of North Carolina. If you think about it, I'd rather be in Georgia. Atlanta, monster town, monster market. Problem is, out of these 3, Georgia Tech, I'm sorry, Georgia Tech fans, it's the smallest brand of all of them. However, they do get better viewership numbers than UNC does. UNC has a great basketball brand. A decent football brand. I've been crapping on it forever, but really, it's a decent football brand. It's not Big Ten worthy. It really isn't. And with all the stuff you talk about, what does being in the state of North Carolina? Oh, Fox and the Big Ten would love to be in the state of North Carolina. I think they'd rather be in Georgia. It's a bigger state, bigger population, and a much bigger town than anything in North Carolina. But look right up here. Miami. Getting into the city of Miami, the state of Florida, with a program that's legendary. And out of all 3 of these, Miami gets the better, more consistent viewership than the rest of them. So they have the market. They have the state. They have the program. They have the viewership. They have the AAU status. They got it all. Above UNC and above Georgia Tech. So if the Big Ten's going to expand, my speculation is that it's one, and it'll be Miami. And they'll hold out for Notre Dame. I do think, I have this feeling, this sneaking suspicion, there'll be one more Big 12 edition. One more ACC school will bolt, especially after the news of Louisville, and then after the news of Miami, and with Florida State and Clemson already gone, someone else is going to pay that money. Someone else is going to bolt. Here's the 5 schools I believe that will actually really consider paying that money and going to the Big 12. Just because they don't want to be screwed later on, they want to get someplace stable and be there. Private capital, as I said, could step in and help pay the freight. Now, UNC. I actually believe both ESPN and Fox would help them pay that $75 million exit fee. Private capital covers the rest. And they would jump to the Big 12. As a matter of fact, the Big 12, I think the next time their media rights deal re-ups, it's going to be ESPN and Fox, but it's also going to be WBD. That will be the third big partner for the Big 12. I think all three of them. I think WBD is going to increase their investment into the Big 12. They need the content, and they want to be a more permanent partner. However, you're talking Board of Governors. I think the Board of Governors want UNC and NC State, and this has been speculated a lot. I think they want them in the same conference. The SEC and the Big Ten will not take NC State. There is absolutely fundamentally no freaking way that happens. I'm sorry. Nothing against the Wolfpack. All right. Nothing against them. As a matter of fact, I think the Wolfpack will eventually be a Big 12 team. So I don't got a problem with them. I would love them in the Big 12. And I think that will happen. Right here, I don't think so. I think you're going to have a lot of political problems with UNC, with the Board of Governors, unassing $75 million. And like I said, I think they can move for free. I think the media partners would actually allow them. But that's a lot of speculation on my part. I think Fox would absolutely love them and would help pay that freight. Virginia Tech, I don't know their financial situation. I know they invest in their sports. And by the way, I'm not trying to take a dump on NC State. I believe they invest in their sports as well. I don't know much about that school as far as jumping. I'm just going to go ahead. Nothing against Virginia Tech. They may not make the jump. We talked about Georgia Tech. I think they'll be in the running for the Big Ten, but I think ultimately they're going to come up short next to Miami. Do they have the will, the political will, in Georgia Tech to pay that money and go? Ultimately, I don't know. I don't think they pull the trigger just then. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. Pitt. Again, I don't know their financial situation. I don't. Do they have this insane amount of loyalty to the ACC? I don't know that either. It's a big fat question mark. But I'm going to go ahead right now. I'm going to remove them. Notice I put Syracuse down here. Syracuse is a dark horse here. I could see them calling Yormark and say, hey, we'll pay the 75. Give us a landing spot. I can see them jumping ahead because they know everyone's talking Virginia Tech. When it comes to the Big 12, everyone's talking Louisville. Everyone's talking Virginia Tech, NC State. A little bit of Georgia Tech. No, at Pitt. People are talking like hell with Pitt. No one's really talking about Syracuse. No one's really... It's a really good basketball brand. Football, hey, they've been pretty good. They are not a bad program whatsoever in football. This is not, like I said, you get into the state of New York. This means something in terms of basketball. And let's keep it real. The Big 12, it's a fun football conference, and it's going to get a lot more fun. What do they do best? It's basketball. Syracuse the orange might look pretty good in the Big 12. Look at these colors. It ain't that much different. Does Yormark do it? Does Yormark say they're willing to pay the freight? Will ESPN and Fox pay this freight, though? Will they approve the deal? Because I still believe media partners have to be cool with it. That's been one of my big arguments with Florida State, Clemson, Miami, UNC, the whole nine. It's real easy for me to dismiss Syracuse. But I just don't. I think this very well could happen. But let's go ahead and talk NC State. As I said, they invest in their sports. And that Board of Governors, would they allow UNC and NC State to move together to the Big 12? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And if you're talking double the media rights in the Big 12, and UNC, like I said, can't get into the SEC or the Big 10, but they got to get to that higher ground. NC State. NC State will want to make that move. So if there's 4 teams at that time that go to the Big 12, could we see this? Could we see this? Don't be shocked if you do. But I'm going to play nice. I'm going to play nice right now. I'm just going to say these are the moves by 2030. I know Syracuse is a wild ass school to put in there, but I'm putting it in there. I'm saying UNC, NC State, for whatever reasons, they don't make the jump. Virginia Tech, maybe that's just a lot of money. And our media partners are a little skittish. Little skittish. But somehow Yormark makes the Syracuse thing happen. And they make it happen. They're throwing money out there. I don't know if that's the case, but this is let's just get a little wild with it. So I'm saying this. Oh, things will get wilder. Now let's fast forward to 2036. What happens? The SEC, they're done. The Big 10, if they have Miami, and will they? I still don't think I still don't see anything changing. Now the only thing that could change if the Big 10 doesn't want, if they don't expand at all, Miami will pay money to go to the Big 12 in 2030. Maybe I should have said that earlier. It's going to be the Big 10 or the Big 12 for Miami in 2030. One or the other. But like I said, I'm trying to play nice here. Trying to play nice. Trying to give everybody as much love as possible. So what happens in 2036? Media rights is over. All right. You've had 5 schools to pay their payouts. All the other schools have collected on that. Now, they've had to backfill because now that's minus 5 schools. You got to get to at least 15. So the ACC has already backfilled. And I'm sure some of these schools in the ACC aren't exactly thrilled with that. Well, why don't we just rebuild? We still got North Carolina. We still got NC State. We still got Duke, Georgia Tech. We could rebuild, coalesce. And then ESPN. Fox, first of all, Fox just says no, just like they did with the Pac. ESPN gives you some lowball number, well underneath what the Big 12 is getting. That'll be the death nail. And then Apple comes in there talking, people are talking, whatever it is. But your traditional partners are just, they're not coming up with enough money. And at that time, it'll be really, really easy for this to happen at that time. And that's contingent on there's no invite to one of the big 2, and I don't believe that's coming. And at this time, the Big 12 just takes who they want to take, who their media partners say, yeah, that's valuable. Does it end there, though? No, it doesn't. I mean, we got to keep that Tar Heel Blue Devil rivalry going, don't we? Yeah, I think we do. And there it is, the 8th school that leaves for the Big 12. But there's still moves that are going to be made by 2036, folks. There's no Big 2 invites for Cal and Stanford, Calford. It's not going to happen. The money in the ACC, it's just not going to be there. They might as well go back to the Pac. Easier travel, cheaper travel. That's just what's going to happen. And their old pal Notre Dame isn't going to be able to save them. Notre Dame will stay independent. Here's the thing. Where do they go? I don't think the Big 10 will do an ACC deal. They probably should. But from everything I've heard from Big 10 country, it's with Notre Dame, it's all or nothing. What about the SEC? Would the SEC offer them a partial share to play 5 games with the SEC and put all the rest of their sports into the SEC. Yeah, I don't know. Some SEC people think that's a good idea. Others say no. So a 50-50. But I tell you what's 100%. What is 100% is right there. They can get an ACC type of deal from the Big 12. Play 5 games with the Big 12. Put all the rest of their sports in the Big 12. And as you see, a lot of their friends are going to be right there in the Big 12. People they're used to playing. And this is my speculation of the ACC. Wake Forest, Boston College, and yes, Pitt. Pitt may have been able to get in there in the Syracuse slot. And maybe they end up doing that. I don't know. I got a funny feeling about Syracuse. But is Pitt really that valuable for the Big 12? Is it as valuable as Syracuse? I don't think they are. I think they end up getting the Oregon State, Washington State treatment along with Wake Forest and Boston College. Now, there is this toss-up school, right? Do they follow Calford to the Pac-12, or do they stick it out in the ACC with these other 3, and that is SMU? Now, in 2030, could SMU pay that $75 million and go to the Big 12? They could pay the money. However, I don't know. ESPN, Fox, do they give 2 shits about SMU? I mean, I think it would be cool to have them in the Big 12 just because of this great TCU-SMU rivalry. The crosstown rivalry. Dallas versus Fort Worth. That's cool. Do I think it'll happen? No. I just don't think it happened. The viewership ain't great, people, with SMU. It's going to take some time. It's going to take. They could build that thing, but it's going to take some time. One of the best teams in the ACC this year. So they're building it. But I think it's going to be either the ACC or the Pac-12. SMU's right in the middle. Where do they want to go? They want to play in the West Coast, Boise State, whomever. No, you know what? I used to think they go to the Pac-12. Now, I think they're going to stay in the East. They're going to stay in the ACC. Yeah, there's Oregon State and Washington State that's in the Pac. Now, Cal and Stanford are in the Pac. But Wake Forest, Boston College, and Pitt, those 4, it's not a bad look. It's not bad for those. I don't know. I just have this feeling because they're going to add Tulane. They're going to add South Florida. They're going to add Memphis. Those are probably already added at this point. And they'll add more. University of North Texas, maybe. Maybe they add them. Maybe, there's going to be a lot of American schools. UTSA. Hell, maybe Liberty. Hell, maybe UConn. But I think at this point, I don't know if UConn's going to do it for them. But yeah, that's my breakdown. That's my breakdown. This isn't the wildest shit, folks. This isn't the wildest thing. Holy crap. 2030. A&M. They are tired of being in a conference with Texas. They left once. They will leave again. They're done. Total insane speculation, I know. This is not a high percentage chance. But there is an opportunity. There is a chance if A&M wants to get out of the ACC. Get out of the SEC. If I'm just saying, I am just freaking saying. You don't think people deep within that university haven't talked about it. Especially oh my God, Texas and OU, we got to deal with them both again. We left these bastards for a reason. The Big Ten makes a little bit more money. There's more travel, but damn, it's top heavy as well. The SEC is a lot deeper than the Big Ten. A&M might find themselves in the playoffs a little bit more often in the Big Ten. The money will be great. Travel kind of sucks. But hey, they can go with Miami. If the Big Ten can pull off, oh my God, we can get A&M. Yeah, why not do A&M in Miami? Holy crap! And then there's the SEC. Holy crap, they're man down. If that happens, they definitely work out a deal with Notre Dame. Give us the 5 games. Put all your other sports in here. It's basically a soft way to replace A&M. Not totally, of course. And would Notre Dame do that? Yes, they would. If they can make that deal with the SEC, they'll make it with the SEC before they make it with the Big 12. That's wild ass. I understand. But these are wild ass days. And this right here is actually the best case scenario for the Big 12. This is what I would love to see. It's damn near a merger. You're just minusing a few of the smaller brands. As a matter of fact, that yeah, that's UConn, people. Yeah. 10 schools added to get to what? 26. So that's Louisville, that's Miami, Syracuse, UConn, UNC, Duke, NC State, Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Virginia Tech, and a deal with Notre Dame. That's the perfect scenario for the Big 12. That only happens if the Big 10 just don't add anybody. All right. Again, wild ass speculation on my part. But there we get it. There we have it. That's the perfect Big 12. That's the perfect Big 12. We'll see what happens, though. I know I went a little off the rails there at the end, but I get excited. A lot of people have gotten excited. A lot of people are talking all kinds of shit. And no, the Big 12 isn't going to add anybody this year. They're not going to add any of those ACC teams next year or the year after. You're talking 2030 and 2036. It will be a staged kind of thing. Yes, in 2030, more than Florida State and Clemson are going to leave. There's a possibility for UNC. There's a possibility for NC State to go with them, maybe to the Big 12. I doubt either one of them are going to the Big 2. But there's going to be a lot of teams left. There's going to be a little backfill action that happened to get to 2036. And then after that, all hell breaks loose for the ACC. At that point, they are Pac-12'd. They'll have to backfill a hell of a lot more. Probably eventually just be a 10-team conference. They'll lose their autonomous status. And there you go. They're a glorified G5, G7 conference. And the Big 12 takes its rightful place as the third and last power conference. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some more crap later. Bye.